Hi, I'm Doug Mandel, and welcome to my second Photography Under 10 series, where we interview a photographer about a specific work of art that photographer has created. And today I'm joined by Mona Kuhn. Mona is one of my favorite photographers and a very close friend. Mona is joining us from Los Angeles. Mona, welcome.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you. I have been a fan of yours way before we met. When I first saw you or saw you talk, must have been over 10 years ago at a photography fair in Los Angeles. And it was there that I fell in love with your work. Today, we're going to be talking about a picture of yours called Fault. Before I put that up, do you want to just talk about roughly what series of your work that photograph fell in?
Yes. So that image, first of all, everyone knows that I'm mostly known for figurative work, but specifically that image Fault is one of the most emblematic and most metaphorical images of this new series that I had at the time that you got it. It was about 2014, and it's a series called Private. And it was a series that I did in the American desert, Mojave Desert. I've been living in Los Angeles already since 2005. It was almost 10 years. And I really wanted to embrace this vast desert American landscape. And in doing so, because I come from a place of photographing a lot of people and relationships, in doing so, I realized the distance, but many other metaphors came to mind by being at the desert. One of them being the fact that it's been talked in different philosophies or different religions, but the desert has this metaphor that you go to the desert as a nobody and you come back as a somebody. So there was a lot of things coming into my mind when I photographed, and that's why it's called the Private series, because it's one of my most introspective series, and it's almost as if it was a spiritual conversation with myself that I was carrying on visually.
Great. Well, let's put up the picture. I'm gonna show it right now. So that is the image, and I have to tell you, I love this photograph. Tell us what we're looking at here, and if you can, I think this is also such a wonderful study in light, which is what first drew me to it. But tell our viewers what they're seeing here.
So in actuality, what you are seeing there is like I'm pointing the camera to a room. This room is inside is in the Mojave Desert in a house. And the light is entering very gently into the room. It's early in the morning, and the room is very empty, and there was a bed, almost like just a mattress with this bed sheet on top. And my series was about the elements of time, but also the elements of the body itself leaving traces. So in this case here, you have the wrinkles that the body left in this bed sheet. But in the book itself, the images before and after are also similar comparisons to, for example, what a glacial body, how it might wrinkle the surface of the earth. So we paired in the sequence or in the exhibition, we have going together with this image, we also have some desert crest hills, or we have the figurative work coming in. In this case, specifically of Fault, and the reason why I gave the title is because the faults in geological faults, but in this specific case being a bed, also bringing in a little bit of an ambiguity about fault. Is there a fault? What's going on here? So I wanted that to be the faults of the bed sheet as well as the other things happening within the series. But more metaphorically, and this is really important to bring up, as a photographer, you're looking at images in front of you, you know what they are. It's bed sheets in an empty room. But inside what's happening in my mind while I'm photographing is a lot more lyrical and metaphorical. Inside my mind, the reason why I decided to click and the reason why I decided to go around and find the perfect balance between the corner of the room, the edge of the mattress and the bed sheets, I wanted to share that with you, what was going on in my mind. And that was more about coming and going into life. The idea that you enter the life with like on a white cloth, you know, in a sign of purity, and that you know, in the best case scenario, live your life also in the same white cloth. So it was, to me, everything that happens from the beginning until the end, in a way.
It's such a beautiful explanation, and I actually didn't know that. Other viewers may not know, and I'm going to try to attach a link to this when I show the video, that there's another version of this photograph with a woman in it.
Right.
Do you what do you prefer? Do you like the empty space, or do you like the person on the bed?
Well, you know, they are spaced out. They're spaced out in the series, and I like to place the woman laying down on this bed sheet together with a massive waterfall that is also part of the series, almost as if the waterfall is caressing her hair. I like this game that happens when we bring images together, where it's not about the woman, it's not about the waterfall, it's about how we as a viewer then experience that image. Is almost like the soul inside of me recognizes some language that is going on there, that the artist is trying to express, that might not be too specific about just one or another. Like a novel, you cannot just say you like a chapter more than the other, because one chapter leads into another. It is unlike me to have an image without anybody, but to me specifically, this image feels that the body is there, because without the body you wouldn't have the wrinkles on the sheets. So
Right.
to me this one is the one that is most metaphorical, where it's not defined, where the one with the person laying down, you might have her already there, so it's a bit more specific, while this one leaves more room for the viewer to wander in their imagination and to fulfill their soul wishes of how they see this image and what it means to them.
You know, the light in this photograph is so gorgeous. It is almost like a pink hue of a light.
Yes.
When you took the picture, at the time you took it, did you know that you captured that light like that? Is it light that's only unique to the desert, or or was it the time of day?
Well, this light is this. I knew that the desert has a special kind of light, and this was very early in the morning. I would even say it might be a little bit before 6. It's very, very early. Because the desert has a bit of a very strong, sharp light. And this was while, you know, when you wake up and you're a bit in limbo, and your thoughts are not yet crisp. And I knew I wanted that kind of light. I knew I wanted this very empty room, because the entire series is a little bit about this, you know, aspect of maybe an aspect of the landscape devoid of spirituality. So the landscape as a metaphor for a lack of connection there, or spiritual connection. So for me, it was really interesting to have it very plain, very blank, not that, as a way to get back to that spirituality. So my work, I believe my work, the way I did the series private was to bring my own interpretation of what I think might be missing visually or point out to certain things. Remember, I did this whole series around 2012, and back then there were a lot of different things happening where maybe I thought we were a little, you know, putting our attention into things that were maybe too materialistic. So an image like this, to me, is a lot more about the things that are precious and that we might lose.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Mona, for being with us today. That explanation of the photograph is so telling and beautiful, and we really appreciate you sharing that with us today.
Yeah. I find it really awesome that you're having the entrance of your house, because to me, it also has this metaphor of entering and leaving.
Yes, people don't know, our viewers don't know that I actually do have this photograph, and it is the first photograph you see when you come into my apartment. And in fact, I got this photograph from you, I remember, shortly before I moved into my apartment. So in some ways it's custom for the space that it occupies.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Mona.
You are welcome.
Okay, ciao.